for me and
Sure.
put the usual matters on the record, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
Very good. Thank you.
See what that gets.
Mr. Rayburn, you were involved in withdrawing from the catastrophic Obama-Iran nuclear deal during the first Trump administration. After that withdrawal, President Trump imposed a maximum pressure campaign that brought the regime to the brink of collapse and kept their nuclear program in a box. President Biden functionally re-implemented the nuclear deal, providing all of the concessions so that Iran could build out its nuclear program and rebuild its oil exports. I used to ask Biden officials why they weren't cracking down on Iran, and the answer they used to give was essentially, there's nothing we can do. President Trump and the current Republican Congress are committed to rebuilding that maximum pressure. Talk about what a maximum pressure campaign would look like and how you intend to pursue it.
Senator, thanks for the question, and I appreciated you taking the time so that we could discuss these and other regional issues also offline. Absolutely, it's not rocket science, Senator. I had a chance to participate and see what works. You have to build out an enforcement apparatus. It's one thing to have the sanctions on the books. You have to have the people, the organizations, the resources, the diplomatic engagement to actually enforce. You have to engage with your allies. You have to disrupt the ghost fleet of vessels that the Iranian regime uses to illicitly transport its oil. You have to expose its financial dealings so that they can't benefit from the money that moves with those transactions. You have to warn maybe unwitting participants in those transactions. You have to expose the beneficial ownership of the vessels, of the front companies, of the financial houses. You have to engage the insurance sector so that they understand that they're potentially insuring IRGC tankers and things like that. And you have to engage with those who flag the vessels so that they understand what they're doing. When you do all those things, you can make a real dent in their oil exports. At the same time, you also have to be politically isolating them. You have to make the Iranian regime an international pariah on the terms of its malign behavior, and do that with allies, with a coalition of political and economic pressure. And that's what works. I've seen it work.
Well, I will say that was a thorough and comprehensive answer, and it is precisely the opposite of what the Biden administration did for 4 years, which is why Iran is on the verge of nuclear breakout. As part of the maximum pressure campaign, President Trump is committed to ensure that Iran is never allowed to enrich uranium. He has called for what has been described as, quote, complete dismantlement. Iran cannot be allowed to keep spinning centrifuges because under the Biden administration, they built out their program so much that any activity would allow them to cheat. You spoke about this earlier with Senator Ricketts, but I want to circle back to it. Talk about President Trump's red line of dismantlement and why it's so important.
Yes, Senator, thank you. It's because the Iranians, if civil nuclear power is the objective of the Iranian nuclear program, they do not need to be able to enrich their own uranium. There are almost 24. There are dozens of other countries in the world that have similar civil nuclear power programs that do not have their own indigenous enrichment. They purchase the fuel from third parties. They also don't reprocess the spent fuel, so there's no need for the Iranians to do that. And that is the president's position. There needs to be a dismantlement of their facilities, of their centrifuges, and so on. There are many technical ways that can be accomplished. Secretary Rubio has laid out the same. Special Envoy Witkoff has laid out the same. And it's because of the Iranian regime's demonstrated bad faith. It's that they don't operate in good faith when you strike an agreement with them, so there has to be very strict restrictions and oversight.
I think that's absolutely right, and I would note, at least from my perspective, I see no reason that the Iranians should have nuclear power generation either. They are literally swimming on a sea of oil. It's not like they are lacking for energy and sources of energy, and I feel confident the Ayatollah is not staying awake at night worried about climate change. And so, at least from my perspective, I'm not interested in anything radioactive being anywhere near a theocratic zealot who leads chants of death to America and death to Israel. Mr. DeSombre, the Chinese Communist Party is working every day to erode Taiwan's status globally. For years, I've raised concerns over the State Department's deeply frustrating policy prohibiting our Taiwanese allies from displaying symbols of their sovereignty, including their flag, on American soil. That was an Obama-era policy that came about at the express behest of the Chinese embassy. I fought against that policy. I pushed legislation reversing that policy, language that has been repeatedly advanced and received bipartisan support in this committee. It is the repeated explicit policy coming out of this committee to reverse that policy. The Trump administration changed it, but the Biden administration immediately restored the prohibition. Secretary of State Rubio stated as part of his written testimony to this committee that he is committed to working with the committee to strengthen our unofficial ties with Taiwan. I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, but describe the importance of bolstering our Taiwanese allies.
Senator, thank you very much for that question, and thank you for making your staff available to meet with me earlier this week. On a personal note, Taiwan was the first foreign country I lived in after I graduated from Stanford and have had a deep experience there on a business perspective over the last 28 years. Our relationship with Thailand and our relationship with Taiwan is very important. They're a great partner of ours, and we should seek to strengthen that partnership and also encourage our allies and partners to support Taiwan.
Well, I agree with that, and I'm going to encourage you and your colleagues at State to go back to the previous Trump policy that allows the Taiwanese to display their symbols of sovereignty. The Obama-Biden caving to communist China policy is not a good one and not one that the Trump administration should be following. I want to thank each of the witnesses for providing us with the benefit of your testimony and responses. Before closing, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to add any letters of support the committee has received to be added to the record. Without objection, so ordered. I will also note for the information of members that the record will remain open until close of business tomorrow, May 16th, including for members to submit questions for the record. With the thanks of this committee, the hearing is now adjourned.